So kalau dua hal ni terjadi, then I know that yeah, that is a toxic in church.
Mereka rasa orang yang consider leaders, mereka tidak mengenali hati mereka. That's number one. And after that, basically ada leaders yang bersifat authoritative.
Maybe for that leader, dia bukan toxic. Tapi bagi another person, oh ini toxic.
Ada juga budaya mengumpat, ada juga yang suka menghakimi. So what do you say about this kind of perspective, Pastor?
Budaya mengumpat iaitu gossiping,
Yep.
that is toxic.
Yep.
Of course, dia bilang, okay, you do this, you do this, you do that. Wah, macam menjadi bos. But that's why as leader harus buat keputusan seperti itu kan.
So what about in terms of orang mengatakan pasal mengumpat or pasal macam yang suka menghakimi ni? So you consider that as a toxic?
Okay, you talk to this person, mungkin dia lebih senang dengan kamu. Maybe dia lebih more open up, like that. My role as a pastor, as a leader, I'm shepherding a lot of people, but not only you. Dorang punya visi hati yang sama. They love unity. They want to grow together. Oh, in fact, daripada dalam Alkitab pun sudah ada. When Rasul Paulus addressed the church in Corinthus, because hati saya kata apa kah? I just want to play drums. Betul. Of course, as I grew up, I said like, kenapa leaders ni pindah? Kenapa pindah-pindah ni? But I don't care as long as I can play my drums. Yeah, but sekarang ni, I noticed that the youth, the young people, are more conscious about like
Topik kita pada hari ini adalah toksik dalam gereja. Kali ini kita bersama dengan seorang hamba Tuhan yang tidak asing lagi. Beliau kini melayani di SIB Live dan terkenal dengan NGL, iaitu Not Gonna Lie, and also #KasihJadi yang kini trending di Instagram. Beliau juga terkenal antara pemuzik-pemuzik Kristian di Malaysia. Pastor Wagner. Pastor Wagner, apabila kamu mendengar tentang pernyataan toksik di dalam gereja, apakah perkara pertama yang timbul dalam pemikiran pastor?
Oh, okay. I think toksik dalam gereja itu adalah suatu hal yang normal. I say it's normal kerana bila berbicara mengenai hubungan antara sesama manusia, dan kita tidak boleh elak daripada terjadinya perselisihan faham, misunderstanding dan sebagainya. Namun, apa yang dianggap toksik bagi seseorang, a person A, doesn't mean toxic bagi person B. Alright, so the key is to understand, identify what is toxic sebenarnya, yang generally semua orang akui bahawa itulah toxic. Ya, jadi memang hal ini terjadi di mana-mana saja. Okay, cuma kita harus define adakah itu perkara tersebut adalah cukup toxic ataupun layak untuk dikatakan toxic atau hanya berbeza perspektif.
So kiranya dari segi definisi pastor, toxic itu basically is menurut perspektif peribadi masing-masing atau bagaimana?
Well, okay. So, like I said just now, apa yang menjadi toxic bagi seseorang mungkin tidak bagi orang lain. Tapi kita mesti ada satu clear definition apakah toxic yang whereby everybody said yes, this is toxic. So, bagi saya, toxic dalam gereja itu adalah apabila anda tidak bertumbuh dalam kerohanian. Like, you can't even grow in your spiritual. Yang kedua, jikalau anda merasa bahawa terintimidasi, dimanipulasi, like really obviously terintimidasi dan dimanipulasi, membuatkan anda tidak dapat memperkembangkan your capacity or your spiritual gift. Yeah. So kalau dua hal ni terjadi, then I know that yeah, that is a toxic in church. Gitu.
I see. But then kalau when we see it in a bigger perspective kan Pastor, most of the feedback dari yang kami dapat daripada anak-anak muda hari ini, mereka mengatakan bahawa sebenarnya dari segi toksiknya yang perspektif mereka adalah mereka rasa orang yang consider leaders, mereka tidak mengenali hati mereka. That's number one. And after that, basically ada leaders yang bersifat authoritative. And ada juga budaya mengumpat, ada juga yang suka menghakimi. So what do you say about this kind of perspective, Pastor?
Budaya mengumpat iaitu gossiping, that is toxic. Okay. Suka menghakimi pun, itu pun toxic juga. Tapi the first two mengenai authoritative, I think we must be clear. It talks about, for me, the way I look at it adalah the style of leadership. Kita especially orang Sarawak yang jaga hati, relax, chill punya. Biar berdepan sama orang yang mungkin agak tegas, kita bilang, wah ini authoritative. No. mungkin orang tersebut dia memang tegas, itu memang style dia, leadership style dia gitu. Tapi dalam hati dia melakukannya dengan tujuan yang baik untuk gereja, dia melakukannya sesuai dengan kebenaran firman Tuhan. Cuma style dia saja. That's why I said, maybe for that leader, dia bukan toxic. Tapi bagi another person, oh ini toxic ni.
It's all the matter of perspective lah.
Yeah.
Bagaimana the leadership actually affects the person.
Sometimes orang menganggap bahawa dia memanipulasi kami. Bukan, dia hanya melakukan tanggungjawab sebagai pemimpin, memastikan semua orang yang dijadualkan melakukan tugas. Then of course dia bilang, okay, you do this, you do this, you do that. Wah, macam menjadi bos. But that's why as leader harus buat keputusan seperti itu kan. So again, we got to be clear. Toxic, adakah itu kamu merasa kamu tidak bertumbuh secara rohani? Adakah kamu rasa bahwa kamu dalam gereja yang sesat? You know, kalau sekadar macam tidak ngam dengan style itu, I don't think it's a toxic. Yeah.
So what about in terms of orang mengatakan pasal mengumpat or pasal macam yang suka menghakimi ni? So you consider that as a toxic?
Yeah.
Okay.
So kadang-kadang pun saya tidak akan menyalahkan orang yang gosip mengumpat ini sebagai kamu ni toxic. I will take time to really understand where they're coming from. Kenapa mereka cakap macam itu. Ada orang, before we reject them kerana mereka suka mengumpat begitu, we must understand kenapa mereka mengumpat dan gosip ni. Pasti kerana ada kepahitan-kepahitan masa lalu, then they're looking for another community mengumpat, dikumpul. That's why it's not surprising daripada sana. But me as a pastor, bila saya sedar bahawa ini terjadi dalam gereja, I have to cut that. Itu sebelum dia merebak. So clarify, communicate begitu, and understand what is the underlying issue sebenarnya.
But Pastor, doesn't that mean the leadership itself actually have to come down untuk macam mendengar daripada basically orang-orang yang bawa, consider the people that they shepherd lah.
Okay.
Because we are talking about macam orang yang authoritative, and then ini kita mengatakan basically there is some gap in communication.
Understand.
Do you think so that's happening in today's church?
Yes, that's why being at the top leadership, you must understand who are the leaders in our team yang a people person, yang dia punya gift, dia memang senang saja cakap dengan orang pun lembut, and then they can relate. Kalau kau suruh orang yang top leadership, you demand him jenis yang strict and then very authoritative, so dia turun habis lah, orang pun takut mau bercakap. So I will identify among my leaders ini who can really bridge that gap begitu. Okay, you talk to this person, mungkin dia lebih senang dengan kamu. Maybe dia lebih more open up, like that.
So your suggestion is to get somebody who is a people person.
Yes.
Untuk jadi pengantara antara mereka yang sedang gosip, sedang menghakimi ini dengan to bridge between the leaders.
Yeah. Secondly, must have an open communication culture. Okay? So that means anybody who have questions, disagreements apa-apa dengan the leadership, you can always send us email kah, ataupun kalau takut mau anonymous, give like a link, you know, you just scan the QR code, apa mau komen apa semua bagi begitu.
Like a suggestion box.
Yeah, sir. But however, they can be we open up a floodgates whereby everybody mau komen siapa-siapa pun tanpa bertanggungjawab. No accountability. So komen-komen tapi mungkin saja mau hantam saja kan. I doesn't want to like really be accountable to it. Itu pun bahaya juga. But the key is to have an open communication lah. Yeah, welcome open communication. Siapa-siapa yang mau bagi cadangan bagi. But for me as a pastor, as a leader, you can just voice out whatever. But not necessarily I must entertain all kamu punya suggestion begitu. I can listen. But for me, again, end of the day, my role as a pastor, as a leader, I'm shepherding a lot of people, but not only you. So that means I will listen. But when I make decision, itu mesti membawa kebaikan kepada semua.
So sebenarnya toxic culture or toxic relationship sebenarnya bermula disebabkan oleh tiada komunikasi.
Yes, agree. Tiada communication, miscommunication, misunderstanding. I think it's like that lah. I think everyone who when they masuk dalam gereja, dorang punya visi hati yang sama. They love unity. They want to grow together. Definitely, mana ada orang mau masuk ke gereja to spoil each other? No, they want to grow together. But it's just the miscommunication, you know, the lack of clarity itu yang membuatkan orang sudah try to assume here and there.
So maksudnya pasal this issue has been a well-established issue. Maksudnya daripada dulu-dulu zaman pastor masih muda pun memang sudah ada.
Oh, in fact, daripada dalam Alkitab pun sudah ada. When Rasul Paulus addressed the church in Corinthus, you know, in Galatia, all the churches, they started when Paulus menanam that church, they started well. But of course, got all this toxic culture di dalam sana sudah bermula lah begitu. So not only from zaman moden ni, dari Bible sudah ada begitu. In my time, I don't know, as I grew up in that church kan last time gereja saya, I don't really see about all this toxic because hati saya kata apa kan, I just want to play drums. Betul. Of course, as I grew up, I said like, kenapa leaders ni pindah, kenapa pindah-pindah ni? But I don't care as long as I can play my drums. Yeah, but sekarang ni, I noticed that the youth, the young people, are more conscious about like, what is this, you know? Yeah, so that's a different generation lah. Yeah.
So, I mean talking about that in line dengan macam generasi sekarang, adakah ini salah satu sebab di mana anak-anak muda sekarang pun memikirkan tentang untuk berpindah daripada satu gereja ke satu gereja yang lain? Malah ada juga yang sebenarnya, in fact, when they see this toxic culture dalam gereja-gereja sekarang, they decide to just abandon and leave Jesus, which is really, really sad.
Well, that's toxic culture in the church can be one contributing factor lah. Namun, we must really disciple our young people before they decided to go to other church, everything. They must know that number one, tiada satu gereja pun yang sempurna. Alright? Again, they must understand that mungkin it's all your perception, your preferences about that church. But when you go to other church, belum tentu kau akan satisfy that. You know, be careful with that. You only move church when spiritually you cannot grow, and you know that macam the leadership style begitu memang tidak ada accountability, tidak mau mendengar dan sebagainya, tidak mau berubah. Right? Then you pray about it. Yeah. If there's no other way for you to really grow in that church, you know, tiada community pun kecil-kecil yang buat you grow spiritual, kalau tidak ada, then you pray about it, then you move gitu. But I believe macam saya dahulu, although I didn't in my old church lah, although I didn't really gain much from Sunday service, but in terms of my character, my dalam hal melayani dengan setia, I grow. And then I have my community, small community. So I grow spiritually from there, but not from the Sunday service apa semua lah gitu. So for me, I can still grow lah. Mungkin tidak semaksimum yang mungkin, tapi I can still grow. So saya tidak berpindah.
I see. Yeah. Then it goes to the point where, okay, katakan tentang kepimpinan di dalam gereja. Adakah macam the reason why this toxic relationship happens because we sebagai pemuda-pemudi, we see it happening among our leaders yang di atas. And then mereka is basically they are the generation earlier than us. Dan kita di dalam generasi ini, we actually look at them, and because of macam ada miscommunication, and then there is macam ada sudah macam toxic culture ini di dalam gereja, macam terbawa-bawa bapasa yang mengakibatkan macam ada susahnya untuk kami basically ada that gap, toxic relationship itu di antara generasi sebelum kami, bahkan antara generasi kami sendiri. What do you say about that?
Well, I think in church usually bila berbicara mengenai leadership kan, we find that pemimpin-pemimpin yang ada dalam gereja kita ini biasanya mereka mungkin tidak equipped with some leadership skills and knowledge. They just get into the position out of their heart that willing to serve God lah begitu. So therefore some of the organizational skill management yang harusnya ada mereka tidak tahu. That's why terjadi some miscommunication dan sebagainya. But if in corporate, that's very in order sebenarnya. So that's why the young people nowadays, kerana mereka sudah terexpose a more organized organization, jadi they have the same expectation dengan church. But they must understand, the leaders in church people, not all of them have that kind of exposure, equipping. So our part as someone who already exposed, who have this knowledge, let us volunteer ourselves to be part of the leadership and slowly introduce a more systematic way of doing things begitu, you know. Yeah, so I think the gap to others, selalunya saya lihat bukan mengenai soal pengajaran sesat itu. It's all about management, leadership style. Yeah, actually
It's more to that.
Yeah, betul.
So that means solusi kepada krisis ini, Pastor, krisis toksik dalam gereja ini sebenarnya apa?
Adalah open communication. Pemimpin yang di atas memiliki kerendahan hati untuk mendengar, ya, dan yang di bawah berani untuk bersuara, gitu. tanpa merasa bahawa nanti kena hantam lah kami ini, tanpa mereka merasa seperti itu. The top leadership must make the youth to feel safe to open up dan sebagainya. But the youth also must learn to voice out dorang punya opinion apa semua begitu dengan hormat dan control the emotion, because in my past experience I've noticed some of the young people kalau bercakap sama pemimpin, wah ni they're like really emotional, so like no wonder your top leadership doesn't want to listen to you,
Right.
yeah. But of course the young people also must understand that you can voice out, but not necessarily semua pandangan kamu akan kena terima, because again, like I mentioned just now, as the pastors, as the top leadership, when they make a decision, it's not only for you, not only for muda-mudi. They have to think about bagaimana dengan keluarga, wanita, sekolah minggu yang lain-lain. So they will put it into factor. Yeah. So open communication is important. Create a space whereby they can really voice out without being judged, without having kena tembak balik lah.
So technically anak-anak muda juga harus really untuk mengatakan opinion mereka have to be with wisdom and juga tact lah.
Yeah. And I think this is a good also for mana-mana pelayan muda-mudi untuk mengajar muda-mudi mereka how to be a good presenter.
Right.
Ini macam kalau in tempat kerja, you want to present something, you must systematic,
Must be prepared.
Yeah. So jangan hanya jumpa begitu. Even kalau macam casual meetings, kopi-kopi dengan your pastor, of course you get to prepare lah. Macam like just you have to imagine lah, you have point 1, point 2, point 3 like that. Jangan like sana sini. Then again, this is a good soft skills lah untuk kita pelajari lah.
Yeah, so youths, we need to develop our soft skills in order for us to actually bridge komunikasi kita dengan leaders kita lah.
Yeah.
Okay, Pastor, if there is ada sesuatu you want to tell kepada anak-anak muda kita mengenai perkara ini, what else do you want to tell them?
Oh, okay. Remember that Tuhan Yesus mati bagi gerejanya, dan gereja Tuhan itu adalah mempelai wanitanya Tuhan Yesus. So remember this. Just because there's a toxic culture in the church doesn't mean gereja itu salah. No, it's just the people. So sebagai anak muda, with all the knowledge, experience that you have, bantu gereja anda untuk bertumbuh. Okay, sebaik mungkin bantu gereja anda untuk bertumbuh. Berdoa. No, I always ask the young people, you complain about your leadership, your pastors, do you really pray for them? Adakah anda berdoa untuk pemimpin anda supaya Tuhan mengurapi mereka kebijaksanaan dan sebagainya? If you don't pray for them, kan, tidak heranlah kenapa tidak terjadi perubahan. So pray for them, and then bila ada kesempatan mereka mencari pemimpin yang baru, go and volunteer yourself, and then slowly introduce the change. Pada waktu inilah kamu belajar bagaimana untuk mempertingkatkan kamu punya management skill, personal social skill dan sebagainya. So, jangan cepat-cepat terus keluar daripada gereja. Learn, belajar untuk bertumbuh di gereja anda.
Wow, that is really profound, Pastor Wagner. I'm truly excited to really dengar perspektif kamu mengenai hal ini, because I think this is what our youth today need to listen. To all our listeners out there, we want to hear your thoughts. Do drop a comment below, share your story, and let us know bagaimana kita di dalam GG Podcast ini boleh membantu anda di dalam doa. Kita beroleh ke segmen itu ini, Pastor. So this segment is more to us getting to know you.
Okay.
So saya akan bagi kamu dua pilihan. Pastor hanya pilih satu saja.
Alright.
Okay. Pastor, kopi atau teh?
Kopi.
Duduk di rumah atau keluar?
Keluar.
Music klasik atau music modern?
Interesting. Okay. Both actually. Basically music. Because kalau saya mau buat kerja, prepare my sermon kayak yang relax, I will listen to classical music. But modern, basically more if I want to get into some vibe, into doing some things lah. Gitu, like, just to keluar lah biasanya.
Like to hype yourself up.
Yeah. So I think, because it's both music, so okay lah.
Right.
For me.
Okay. Pastor bermain bass gitar ataupun drum?
Drum, of course. I'm a drummer.
Berbasikal atau berjogging?
Berjogging, come on. Okay.
Yeah, probably you can tell us more, because di dalam kamu punya Instagram, all I can see is like, you've been reposting about people going for jobs.
Yes.
Maybe you can tell us more about hashtag Kasih Jadi ni,
Okay,
Pastor.
so I started running in 2018. Before that, I'm overweight and then I'm not fit.
Right.
Then I realized that whenever I go for ministry outside, I travel kan begitu, like almost every month last time lah. And then after saya balik daripada ministry Monday saya memang yang macam sakit lah. I said like, and I realize, tidak fit saya ni begitu. And I said like, I cannot serve like this. Yeah. And then I start running. Itu pun thanks to my wife who bought for me my first smartwatch lah, long time ago lah. And I start, and then here's the thing. It's just for fun. Saya lari 1 kilometer is so hard, macam Tuhan ambillah nyawa saya. It's so hard. But it's for fun. Sebelum saya check my watch and my phone, I said, okay, sync and then upload lah. And then somehow my church member bilang, wow, pastor kau sudah running sudah kah? Oh, saya termotivated lah ni, saya mau pun ikut. Alamak. I said, actually just for fun. I don't plan to run after that. But because of that, right, I said like, okay lah, because somebody already inspired, somebody can comment something tu kan, okay lah, I start running lah. I start running. And I realized that, hey, that's the power of accountability. Now, I might not know all of them personally, but I know that by posting something, it will inspire people,
Right.
encourage people juga. So, eventually, it becomes a lifestyle sudah bagi saya. So, when I reposted apa orang buat begitu kan, because I know that that's how I'm being encouraged last time. Yeah. And then, secondly, I'm 45 years old this year and I have 3 kids begitu. And then anak-anak saya masih kecil. And then my goal is this kasih jadi and then this healthy lifestyle adalah to make it normal for a guy like my age to have a healthy lifestyle. Because usually kalau orang sudah umur 30 ke atas ada anak yang macam
lembik
relax
sudah
begitu. Apalagi I tell you apalagi kalau macam pastor kan begitu, like please don't be sensitive, but you want to minister more begitu. Tapi if you're not healthy and fit, I'm not talking about slim kurus tau. No, fit saja.
Fit.
Ya, baru kena bagi 2 sesi sudah. How can people like call you for like
exactly, for bigger.
So for me, I always tell people it's not about kasih lose weight tau. Lose weight is a bonus, but for me it's fit. And then saya bagi tahu dengan my church member, I want to make sure that bila anak saya berkahwin nanti, I'm still alive. Dan saya boleh, as with my daughter, walk the aisle with her.
Wow.
And then puji Tuhan kalau Tuhan panjangkan umur saya boleh melihat cucu-cucu saya. But for me, I got to be healthy and fit gitu. And then furthermore, majority of my members are all younger than me, 35 and below. I want to inspire them. Kalau nampak pastor mereka healthy and fit, diorang pun inspired to have it.
Terinspirasi juga.
Yeah, khususnya di bandar kan ada tendensi orang sibuk-sibuk kan kerja, but they are not fit pak. Yeah, that's what encourage all those like mental health issues dan sebagainya. Padahal they're still young and single semua. So that's why I get into this lah. So for me, running or doing healthy lifestyle is more than just physical, but it connects to spiritual.
Wow.
Yeah, especially because I run alone banyak kali. It really forces me to really macam build my mental endurance. Sometimes when I do ministry, do things kan, nobody with me, but I say like, hey, you done this before. You run for 2-3 hours alone. You can do this.
Wow, that's so profound.
Yeah. So that's why.
That's a good reminder kepada pastor-pastor yang di luar sana kalau kamu mendengar. Okay, this is the time where make hashtag jadi also part of your life supaya you also stay fit together with us as we embark this journey together. Yeah, Pastor, it's been a pleasure untuk
Thank you.
to speak to you and untuk kenal pribadi kamu sendiri. And we just want to thank you for your time with us.
Welcome.
And before we actually end kita punya podcast, is it okay to have you to pray for our youths, to pray for those who are actually listening, so that whatever that we have input today mengenai toxic dalam gereja or more to culture, toxic culture ini akan melihat satu pembalikan di mana where we really sit down together and have the communication with our leaders.
Okay, sure. Mari kita berdoa. Okay, Tuhan Yesus, kami bersyukur buat sesi ini. Terima kasih Tuhan kerana Engkau tidak pernah give up on us. Kau tidak pernah give up on your church. And saya berdoa Bapa di syurga untuk semua yang mendengar podcast ini Tuhan, supaya mereka juga Tuhan mempunyai spirit yang sama seperti Yusuf, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach dan Abednego. Meskipun mereka surrounded by toxic culture, mereka satu-satunya orang percaya di sana Tuhan, tapi they thrive. Mereka yang membawa perubahan persekutuan mereka. So saya berdoa setiap anak-anak muda yang mendengar Tuhan podcast ini, bila mereka dimanapun tempat Engkau letakkan mereka Bapa di syurga, they will thrive. Apapun budaya yang ada di sekitar mereka Tuhan, mereka yang menjadi influence kepada budaya tersebut. Bantu juga Tuhan agar mereka punya keberanian untuk mengkomunikasikan pendapat mereka kepada pemimpin-pemimpin mereka. Dan saya berdoa juga Tuhan Yesus, para pemimpin punya kerendahan hati untuk mendengar dan siap Bapa di syurga untuk dibantu oleh anak-anak muda Bapa. So Father God, I commit everyone yang mendengar podcast ini, biar Bapa di syurga mereka clear about their purpose in life, they will thrive in their generations of surga dan menjadi influence kepada orang sekitar mereka. Terima kasih Tuhan Yesus, dan nama Tuhan Yesus kami berdoa. Amin.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Wagner.